amid a surprise attack by Hamas. Israel faces another potential conflict on its northern border with a far more formidable foe, the Lebanese Hezbollah. The Lebanese armed group fired a barrage of rockets into Israel on October 9 amid soaring tensions on Israel's northern border. The action came after at least 3 of its members were killed during an Israeli bombardment of southern Lebanon. The Israeli military said it identified a number of launches from Lebanon into Israel, without any injuries, and was responding with artillery fire on Beirut. Amid rising tensions, questions continue to loom about whether Hezbollah will enter the war between Israel and the armed wing of the Palestinian group Hamas. Doing so would elevate the current conflict into a two-front war for Israel. On October 8, a day after Hamas struck Israel, the Lebanese group fired missiles and artillery at the Israeli-controlled Golan Heights in a show of solidarity. The Iran-backed armed group, which has long sought to support the Palestinian cause, has avoided deeper participation in the conflict so far. However, analysts say that Hezbollah's position could change if Israel were to launch a ground offensive in Gaza. After announcing a total blockade on Gaza, including a ban on admitting food and fuel, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant also pledged to launch a ground offensive in Gaza, raising fears of the reoccupation of the besieged enclave.
Hezbollah so far has not joined the conflict, but they have said if Israel mounts a ground incursion to Gaza, they would view that as a trigger. I think probably in turn, that would be a trigger for the United States to potentially support strikes against Hezbollah in Lebanon and Syria. And of course, at that point, whether or not Iran gets brought into conflict is the question.
Hinting at Hezbollah joining Hamas in its fight against Israel. A senior official of the Palestinian armed group said its allies will back the war if Gaza is annihilated.
كل حلفائنا جاهزين يتدخلوا إذا كان في حرب إبادة لغزة. لن يبقوا مكتوفي الأيدي. ولتعلم حكومة إسرائيل أنها ستفتح باب جهنم عليها إذا حاولت أن تدمر غزة أو أن تستخدم أسلحة غير تقليدية في دمار غزة، طبعا أسلحة أمريكية.
Experts fear that Hezbollah's involvement from the north would open up a second front from Lebanon.
And I think Hamas felt that if it does come to a ground war, which I think is painfully likely because the Israelis are going to feel that they have to somehow secure the release of these dozens of civilian hostages, which include, by the way, people killed and hostages from at least 14 foreign countries. This is a textbook international terrorism, a case of international terrorism. That if they do go into Gaza, that Hezbollah will do more from the north, that it will open up a second front, either from Lebanon and maybe also from Syria. And so this could have kind of horizontal escalation in the near term, which could be very dangerous.
Former Lebanese Army General Elias Farahat told Al Jazeera that it remains unclear whether confrontations between Israel and Hezbollah would continue to escalate. General Elias Farahat said, "I think that the concept of the rules of engagement will continue, that is, to fire on a target, and the Israelis will respond on the source of the firing. There is no idea, and nobody on both sides that thinks about expanding the front of confrontation between each other. So far, it is restricted on definite targets." The possibility of escalation between Israel and Hezbollah has also struck fear in residents of southern Lebanon who earlier cheered on Hamas.
شيء بيرفع الراس وشيء العالم اندهشت من انتظام المقاومة، من قوتها الكبيرة ومن الشرف الكبير اللي نحن عم نحس فيه والعزة والكرامة.
Hezbollah is a highly skilled armed group and has proved to be Israel's most formidable foe since the group's inception in the early 1980s. The Lebanese armed group supports Hamas and has played an important role in the group's evolution by training and indoctrinating Hamas fighters in Lebanon. Hezbollah initially fought to expel Israel from Lebanon and succeeded in doing so in 2000. In 2006, the world saw another taste of what Hezbollah could do, when it fought a 34-day war with Israel. In the conflict, Israel suffered at least 157 dead in military operations and from Hezbollah rockets, which rained down on Israel throughout the war. Hezbollah lost far more people, but it heralded the war as a victory, and Israelis agreed. The next conflict could be far worse, given how Hezbollah has only grown more powerful over the years with military and financial aid from Iran. With substantial Iranian help, Hezbollah has expanded its arsenal and now has a bigger stock of rockets and missiles capable of striking deep into Israel. Hezbollah has also acquired a range of anti-ship cruise missiles and surface-to-air missiles, both of which would complicate matters for Israel, which is already facing a battle on its south.